So right now we're putting on the Packard intake, and it has these rings that go on, and there's a locking ring behind it, like right here, has a little gap, and then you got to spread it over the throttle body piece. Perfect. And then the double O-ring piece goes in next.
And then we put oil on there.
Yep.
Make it slide in easy.
Yep. Don't damage the O-ring.
El Sonic Racing, el Roller de Filadelfia, de los talleres del Tito Chasis, la pintura, el diseño creativo de Macho Design.
Now there's little notches, right, on those outer rings?
Right here.
The ones that are going the inside? Oh yeah, right there, okay.
Yep, so I have to line them up.
Yeah, okay. So right now in the background we're watching the World Cup finals. So
Our team's there right now running.
yeah, our team is there out running, so we're just keeping an eye out for our team, so see how they're doing, and at the same time putting a motor together. So if you hear the background noise, that's what it is. All right, I'll come back when we get to the next major part. Right now it's just putting the hardware on, tightening it down, stuff. So now we're prepping the throttle body to get it on the intake. We're gonna strip her down, clean her up a little bit. I did have a problem with high idle on this one where
So the throttle blades would not close all the way. What happens is the blades aren't centered from the factory, and it happens randomly. Imports, domestic, single throttle body, 4 throttle body, I've seen it everywhere. So what you do is you get in there with the proper size screwdriver, which a number 2 or a number 3 doesn't work. So you have to find some Chinese screwdriver that's right in the middle and fits in there. You loosen them up 1 full turn, and then you completely back off the throttle stop, and then slap the throttle closed. If they're still not centering, then you just tap them and get them centered. And then I look through and make sure there's no light coming through anywhere, and then retighten them all. After that, depending on manufacturer, you can use a feeler gauge or a specific gravity to balance them. I'll balance them when it's running, and then get the throttle stop set back so it doesn't stick.
Yep.
Fixes the problem.
So basically what he's saying is these little blades, one would be to the left, one would be to the right, maybe, or one or the other. One of these would be off center, and it would get stuck on the edges here, and
Just
it wouldn't.
Barely holding it open,
Yep.
like about like that.
Yep, just barely keeping it open. So, which will burn up your clutches and put a lot of heat, as you can see. Got a lot of heat through my steels. So
Light was on when you were driving a bunch.
yeah, because it was just, I was having to constantly sidestep the throttle to try to flick the throttle to bring the idle down. And sometimes that's kind of hard when you go up some rough terrain. So I just put all new clutch pack, new steels and everything inside. Oh, let me take you over there, guys, and show you what we did so far, get you caught up. Is I put in a alternator from DLP, and we've got the boost lock also installed. As you can see, so there's the alternator from DLP, which is funny because he uses the same racing alternator I used in my drag car. Really small alternator, perfect little fit in there. And then up there you could see the JTE boost lock is now installed, ready to go. So all new clutches, the JTE boost lock. Later on I'll be putting in the Avenger driveline and the rear end back in the car. Obviously at the spot. So that's done, and then the wiring for the JTE boost lock is really simple. You he has instructions when you get this too on how to do it. You unplug this harness up here, not this one up here, and you basically put in this splitter. You put the two, so this disconnects from here. You put this connector and this connector in, and then you plug in this connector that goes to the solenoid, and the number 2 port, which is down on the bottom here, goes to the boost lock through the banjo fitting right back here, and then this up here goes to a boost reference on the intercooler side, so you have cool air to control the boost lock. So pretty nice little system. We're also working on the fuel pump system. I have the fuel pump out, or the fuel system. So the pump's out right now. Got to cover it up so I don't get dirt in there. And just a quick run over here, give you an idea of the drive line. So this piece right here is part of the DLP kit. This is what's on the back of it gets bolted to the flywheel of the motor. This separates into 2 pieces. The first piece goes on and gets bolted to the motor with this, and they supply longer bolts to use that. And then this half, as you can see, there's 2 pieces here, bolts to this flange and gets on there. And then here's the drive line and the CV. The CV gets greased up, gets put on there, and then we put that on, grease it all up, and we're ready to go. So I'll try to keep doing more videos as we go through, because we're going to thrash on this a little bit today. Sorry the other ones weren't as detailed, but just trying to get the time in between doing the work. So we'll get her done. All right, throttle bodies on, fuel injectors are in. The intake is in. We have the other half sitting over here because we're not sure which way we want to orientate it yet. We'll put it in. The knock sensor we mounted here because it's near the main line of the crank, so you get the best reading there. Just there's a little tab right here. Drilled a hole, tapped it, and then screwed this bolt in to hold it on there. But yeah, coming together piece by piece, bit by bit. And yeah, so I know we had comments about not showing the engine build. We really are under a time crunch, and just had to get it done. And it was one of those things where didn't have time to get the cameras, and I wasn't actually here for the whole thing. So you take it when you can get it. But if you have questions about any of this stuff, put them in the comments. I'll try to answer the best I can and give you the information on what I know so far. But anyway, this is where we're at. All right, victory so far. Not done yet, but the motor is in. We decided to run the packet intake facing straight up so we can go up, and we'll have the intercooler here, and it's gonna go from there up into there. Obviously there's the turbo. Isn't she pretty? We're not going to talk about what we're doing with the exhaust or the wastegate stuff yet, because that's going to be some cool shit. We'll talk about it later. But yeah, the driveline, their differentials in, the engine's in. Just got some small stuff to finish up. Oh, trick, if you ever pull your motor out, make sure to hook your throttle cable up, just back over there, before you get the engine all the way in, or else you have to take the whole inside of your car apart, like me, to get to it. So anyway, thing looks awesome. Can't wait to hear it run. I'm sure there'll be more videos soon, but this is another part as we go through the day. So guys, just another little tip here. You get these turbo pipe kits, you definitely don't want to get this kind of brushed look stuff. It doesn't weld as nice as like a polished one. So if you get a kit, make sure you get something that's polished and clean it really good when you go to weld it. We've sanded, you know, cleaned it, done everything we can, and it still just doesn't want to weld very nice, but we're making it work for now. As long as it holds pressure, that's what we're worried about. So just a tip. All right, guys, we got the turbo mounted. We're just doing some fabbing and getting everything plumbed up and ready to go. Original plan for the exhaust is going to be a little bit more time than we expect, so we're just going to straight pipe it out for now. This is how the radiator, I have a Jagged S Customs oil tank. You can kind of see the intercooler right there. And then you can imagine the back. That's how the radiator sits. An expansion, or the heat exchanger. You see the intake, the intercooler, the turbo, the fuel rail. Got the fuel pump installed. And I think I already showed the boost lock, but alternator. So I ended up taking a lot of the plastics out. It's just easier, guys. If you're doing this, just take the whole back of the car apart completely. You know, take the shocks out, take the, you know, all the plastics out. And then when you get ready to run all your lines and stuff like that, and you're trying to see where everything needs to be, put your plastics back on. Because we did see that at the very top of the intercooler for our heat exchanger line, that it was just barely hitting the top of the plastic. So we're just going to run a different fitting on there. It gives us, you know, we're literally, it's like what, Josh, what, 1/8 of an inch touching it, just barely touching it. So, but yeah, should be ready to go. What do you think, Josh? Anything you want to add? All good. All right, guys, that's it. I'll do some more videos and we'll update you as we go.